More art and design, good stuff. Thank you all for joining. I apologise if you can hear beeping in the background, but a couple of my work colleagues are having a marathon chat. Good stuff. Mirka, you're winning so far.
Oh, very good. I didn't know it was a competition, but great.
Oh, well, it's a competition to me, but that's only because I'm a very petty individual. But yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, so we'll just wait for more people to roll in. Once we've got a good number, we'll start, just so people aren't joining us midway through a rant even. But yeah, if you have just joined us, if you just put in the chat what course of study you're on, that'd be lovely. Nice, nice, nice. Just one more minute, and then we will crack on, everyone. And then hopefully, if anyone else joins us, they'll be able to pick things up pretty quickly. Great. Well, I think what we'll do is we'll just kick things off now, and we'll just explain a little bit about what it is that we're going to be chatting about today. So my name is Dave Orme. I am the Associate Director at Wiltshire Creative, and this is...
Oh, sorry. I'm here. My name is Mirka Goldenhan, and I'm a resident artist and head of visual art at Wiltshire Creative. We didn't rehearse this.
We didn't know, not at all. Clearly. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to chat a little bit about our organisation. So, you know, Wiltshire Creative is a pan arts organisation, and we are based across Salisbury Playhouse and Salisbury Arts Centre. When I say pan arts, I mean that we are invested in all art forms, so from film to dance to theatre and then to visual arts as well, and new media and digital. So we really kind of focus on everything. I'd say we're probably Wiltshire's premier arts organisation. I think that's fair to say, Mirka. Do call me up if that's wrong.
Yes, I totally agree. Yes, in this sort of ambition of joining art forms, there is nobody else like us.
Great, lovely. So you've come to the best. So what we're going to do today is we'll just have a little chat about our organisation and what it is that we do. We really didn't want to kind of have you all sit through a PowerPoint presentation, which can be quite dry, sometimes a bit tedious, and I just find that when I watch PowerPoint presentations and someone talks at me, I just get lost and my mind wanders. So we just really wanted to make this about you all and just make this as helpful to you as possible. So we're just going to make ourselves available to to answer any questions you have. We know that the world of arts can be a really confusing place to kind of get involved with. It's difficult to figure out where your first step is, and how you kind of access that. That is the fault of the arts. That's not your fault at all. So just don't be afraid to just ask any question that you have. We're just here to make to just help you guys get that leg up. So just a little bit about me. I'm the associate director at Wiltshire Creative. My role as the associate director is to provide support for artists from any medium. So if there is a freelance artist out there in Wiltshire, or indeed the Southwest generally, they can speak and they can liaise with myself or Mirka, and we can provide them the support that they need or advice that they need. They can even chat to us about using our spaces, about providing mentorship as well, approaching us with projects that they have that we might be interested in. My background is in theatre, so a big part of my role is attending drama school final year productions, watching those productions and trying to identify performers and actors who might have a place in one of our performances coming up, and directing plays as well. As part of directing plays, I do work a lot with stage designers. I also work a lot with graphic designers as well, if we have a project that requires a kind of graphic artist to create branding for us as well. And that's just a kind of brief overview of who I am. I think I'm just going to hand over to Mirka now, who can chat a little bit about her journey in the arts. And if you could just kind of write in the chat what it is that your aspiration is, where you see yourself in 10 years' time. What is specifically, what is it that you see yourself doing, and what kind of avenues do you want to pursue, just so we know where your minds are at and what it is that you want to achieve. So I'm just going to pass over to Mirka now.
Thank you, Dave. That was a really nice introduction, and I have actually learned a lot about you as well, something we will need to pick up on later. So my role at Wiltshire Creative is, I've said earlier, my title is Resident Artist and Head of Visual Arts. What that means is I am a ceramicist. I run the pottery in the art center where I teach, and I also make my work. Apart from that, I also run the visual arts offer. I curate the exhibitions which we show at Salisbury Art Centre. So in my work, I research, I write out exhibition intentions, I seek out artists, I continuously engage in conversations with different artists in order to produce our exhibitions. And I look ahead about a year and a bit, although it's been very difficult this year to look ahead, to see how our program fits in with the overall artistic vision of our organization. You can probably tell from my accent, I am not English. I came to this country when I was 19, and at that point I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I just finished my A-levels, which were very kind of broad, and mostly I studied humanities for my A-levels, and I started my sort of journey in arts by enrolling in an evening class and actually falling in love with clay. And 3 years later, I managed to put together a portfolio of work which allowed me to enter a university. So I came to study ceramics at the age of 23 and finished my first degree at University of Westminster. So I think I probably was at the point of my life where you will be when you leave college, when I came to this country. And I think, for me, the life I had so far in arts had been absolutely fascinating. It's been brilliant. It allowed me to be who I am. It is not an easy life, but it is a really rewarding life. So I would like to kind of encourage you in pursuing it, because even though it does not offer you stability, which other conventional jobs might, it does offer you freedom of being who you want to be. Yeah. So hand back over to Dave, and then I will probably explain a little bit later about sort of more in depth of what I do, and if there are questions, perhaps I get back to it that way.
Lovely, thank you so much. For anyone who has just joined us, we are from Wiltshire Creative. My name is Dave Orme. I come from a theatre background. I'm a theatre director, and Mirka, my colleague, is a visual artist. So if you do have any, if you just want to say hello and what course you're studying in the chat below, that'd be great. But we will just move on. I suppose, Mirka, we've got a lot of people in the chat here. So we've got somebody who wants to be a digital illustrator and designer, a freelance illustrator, fashion designer, someone who wants to run their own business, a fine artist, and someone who does not have a clue, which, to be fair, that's fine. Yeah. I suppose, yeah, I mean, what would be really great is if we just hand over to you guys. If you have a really burning question, please just write it in the chat, and then we'll answer that question as best we can. We just kind of want to make this session all about you, something that is helpful to you. And so you go away kind of feeling that we have demystified something to you. So I guess, you know, me and Mirka will chat, but we'll stop and answer any question that you put in. So don't be afraid to write any question at all, as long as it's to do with the arts. That'd be great, and we'll answer it as best we can.
Yeah.
So Mirka, I suppose it'd be really great, just judging, you know, we're chatting to a lot of art and design level 3s. It would be, for someone who is just at the very start of their career, who is on the cusp of going from education to professional, you know, what are the kind of a key advice you would give to someone in that position?
I think, I mean, obviously there will be several pathways in front of you now, and you will need to decide whether you want to pursue university or whether you want to try to be trained via seeking apprenticeship with artists or firms. I think having a business mind is very important throughout a creative career, because essentially you will become, even though you are going to be creatives, if you want to set up a business, you will become self-employed artists. You might even choose to employ people later on, you know, down the line, depending on the industry you will be in. And so I think I would definitely advise looking at all the possible business training opportunities that there are for startup businesses. Go to the council, find out whether, you know, such training opportunities are there. Find out, you know, how best to run your business. Make a plan for the future. I think I was, after I graduated, I sort of sought help from Princess Trust. And I don't know how Princess Trust runs now, but back then it was brilliant, because I got kind of join up with a local businessman. Now, this person had nothing to do with arts. He was, you know, he was, his business was security, and he was very good at it. And he taught me how to run myself, or how to think of myself as a from perspective of a self-employed a business person. And also, you know, that you have to survive on doing what you do. So you might need to make compromises in the way that you might work, and that you might actually opt out for expanding the parts of your creative business which bring in more income in order to free up time for your experimental work. And that was something that I was not told at university. And it was really very practical and useful advice. He also told me that it is really good to have a plan for, what will you do next week? What will you do next month? What will you do next year? Where you want to be in 5 years' time, and where you want to be as an artist in 15 years' time. And just having those goals might focus your mind. You don't need to be fixated on them, and you might not, your goals will probably change and shift as you go through your life as a creative. But just having them there, knowing that you're aiming at something, that your thoughts are not scattered, is really useful tool to know that there is a purpose to your creative work. And that sort of advice from a person who ran a security company to a creative was, it was really it was very useful. Yeah, he also taught me how to keep my books and how to fill in my tax return. And yeah, so and he did that all for, as a volunteer, because as part of the Princess Trust, it, they bring in experienced people in business to help people to start up. Yeah, I can't rate it high.
No, it's fine. No, I think it's lovely. I think just moving forwards now, I think it'd be just good to start chatting about getting the work, really, which is the kind of the most important. Well, hopefully as an artist you're going to be making money, but it'd be start getting to chat about how you make those connections and what it is that you look like. I know that there is a little bit of a focus in this session about interview technique and advice. If I'm being very honest, I think in the creative sector interviews don't really follow the same pattern as they would in a standard business, that you send in a CV and a personal statement, and then you get called to an interview and they ask you what your strengths and weaknesses are, and then you answer, and then you get a call, hopefully with the job. It follows a slightly different path, really. So Mirka, I suppose if we were doing, so let's just chat about what the first kind of point is in the creative interview, really, which would probably be a brief coming out. Would you like to chat us through what a brief is?
Well, the experience I had with kind of interviews was when we were recruiting for the visual arts assistant a few years ago, for example. And but in some of the interviews you might expect to have kind of a task or something. I don't know. The cards on the table. I have been self-employed artist for most of my life, and therefore I don't actually have many experiences myself with job interviews. However, this was interesting, and when I was setting up interviewing for an assistant to me, I wanted to know how the person will handle the material with which we work, and a practical task was design and execute a clay project. And so what was interesting on that is that the people who were invited for interview all got a lump of clay to take home. They, after their interview, they sat down, wrote a proposal for project, how to do, and then we asked them to send us a photograph of execution of that project. Yes, and that actually informed me much more than the entire chat with them, because I could assess how they actually work with the material and how they will be able to teach others when it comes to the face-to-face. What was also interesting was that one of the interviewees who I thought was a really fantastic candidate, brought, and this was, as it was requested as part of their portfolio, their actual pieces. And she then emailed back to say, oh, by the way, I didn't think I have to complete the task, or I chose not to complete this task because I already brought my artifacts with me. And it's in that point, that was absolute, we are sorry, we cannot give you the job. So when you are in if you get an interview in a creative industry, follow on all the tasks you are given. Don't assume that just because you've shown something and you were asked to do something, if you don't do it, that you are still in for a chance. It's really very important. And it kind of, it nearly broke my heart, because I really thought that I can work with this person. But as an organization, we always give feedback. So that was fed back to the person, and I hope that lessons were learned. So yeah, that's my example.
Lovely, thank you. I think if I was to give an example, we in January actually, we put out a brief because we were looking for a graphic designer to create artwork and branding for our Shift program, which we are launching. Just to give you a bit of background, our Shift program is about prioritizing young artists and artists from underrepresented backgrounds and giving them a platform to speak their voice and to demonstrate their artwork. So we were looking for a professional graphic designer to create the branding for that. So we created a brief which outlined what the project was and what it is that we were expecting from a graphic designer to come on board. And we asked graphic designers to submit a short personal statement and a portfolio of their work to us. And then after that, we just held informal chats over Zoom with them. I think it's really important when you're submitting your work that you do not just send a bog standard personal statement and just your general portfolio of everything that you've done. That doesn't inspire confidence in me when people do that, and it's very easy to see that. I know that you want to give everyone you want to give everyone as much information as you possibly can on you, but that's not really helpful. When I read through an application for something like this, I don't really spend more than 5 minutes going through it. And if your portfolio is going to take more than 5 minutes to go through, that's just not going to happen. So what you need to do is you really need to understand the organization that you're applying for. You need to go to their website, you need to do their research, you need to understand what their priorities are, what it is that they're looking for, who they've worked with in the past, and kind of model your portfolio to kind of represent, to kind of look similar to what that organization's priorities are. So in this instance, we were looking for someone who was engaged with young people before. So it would be wise to kind of push those projects to the front of your portfolio, those projects where you've worked with young people perhaps, or you've done a project in a school or something like that, to the front, and just model your personal statement around that. So you're really responding to the brief I can't stress that enough. That's the most important thing that you possibly can do. So really, when you're applying for a job, you should never send in the same portfolio more than once. It should always be different to reflect what that is, and then you'll get those interviews. I suppose when it comes to interview technique, because you're a freelancer and you're not necessarily going to be a core member of staff, what we're asking of you is slightly different. We want to know about your experience. I mean, for me, the most important thing when at the portfolio stage, at the stage where you're responding to a brief, where you're sending an email out with the blue, is experience. That's the thing that I prioritize personally. I want to know that you have experience. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to have professional experience, but I want to see that that even if it isn't professional experience, you've gone out and you've done things. You've shadowed an artist, you've spoken to an artist, you've volunteered in groups, that you've managed to keep yourself busy, and that you've been working hard to develop your career. Because if you're working hard and investing in yourself, I know that you're going to work hard and invest in my organization. So that's the type of thing that I want to be able to see. Even if in your portfolio you've got some hypothetical designs. I work a lot with stage designers, and in their portfolios they'll send me hypothetical designs. They've just basically thought of a play they'd really like to design something for. They've created a model box and done a full design for it, and that's brilliant. I mean, in lieu of a professional piece, they've just gone, this is who I am as an artist, this is what I can do. And it shows tenacity, it shows passion, and it shows enthusiasm. And I really do rank that. So even if you're creating fictitious designs, then do go for it. I really, really love to see those. Mirka, is there anything that I've said that you would personally disagree with? I'm sure there is.
I think I don't disagree with anything, because you are describing it from your point of view, and how you would use visual arts practice for your line of work. But for the exhibitions, for example, I think if you are starting to push your work or want to exhibit your work, you really need to spend immense amount of time in researching the opportunities which are there. There will be, number of opportunities nationwide for open exhibitions, which are open call submissions. They are either to a particular theme, or they are just seeking for work, or any work. So look at those, read them, and assess whether your practice or whether the line of work you do might fit in with what these open calls are looking for. And then you go through the application process. And again, it is very important that you thoroughly read all the information in that application and that you follow them. Because like Dave said, if you are on the end of the selecting process and you've got 500 applications from which you need to select, let's say, 80 pieces, you are not going to read somebody's artistic statement, which is 1,000 words long, especially if you've been asked to write 30-word statement. So the questions in open calls are there to kind of make it easier for you to be seen as much as you can be seen by the selection panel. Now, rejection is a huge part of artists' life, and it is something that Dave and I, we've been rejected so many times. It is something that you have to get used to, but you will soon realize that also actually rejection often is doing you a favor, because the gallery will know their audience. The gallery will know the message they want to pass on to their audience. If your work does not fit in with this, then it would be also kind of time spent negatively for you to pursue that path. So do rely on galleries knowing what they do, because the relationship between gallery and artist, it has to be kind of symbiotic, and the two have to start working together. Equally, if you get selected by a gallery, do maintain that relationship, because for example, I have a relationship with two galleries who picked me up pretty much the year I graduated, and I still show with them. And one of those galleries actually moving premises this year because of COVID. They don't want to stay in Wiltshire anymore. They are going to Wales. They are taking my work with them, and I will carry on showing with them. And this relationship has been going on now for over 25 years. So there are very positive relationships to be formed. Use everybody you meet that you feel will give you a leg up, and keep a positive relationship with them. It would be kind of my advice in this sort of process.
Lovely. Thank you, Mirka. And just to remind everyone as well, if you do have a question that we're not answering, or something that you just want to say, just put it in the chat box. Then we'll stop prattling on and actually answer your question as well. So don't worry, it can be about anything. It can be, can you give me a job? It can be, just any kind of advice that you want at all. So I suppose, Mirka, just following on from that point, it'd be really useful to describe the type of things that a freelance artist might apply to. So we know that we have commissions as one thing, particular briefs. So if there is a specific job, a specific role that an organization is looking for, say they need an illustrator for a book, or they need an illustrator for some pamphlets they're releasing. There are exhibitions, so open call exhibitions, really, and then there's another one as well. Is that correct?
Well, there is. It never hurts sending your work or your selection of your works to any curator you want to work with, and even because they might file it, and they might come to you 3 years later because an opportunity comes along in which they would like to sort of talk in an exhibition that will be outlining the concept that you are working on, so you can become a member of that, part of that exhibition. So don't just send your portfolios to galleries, maybe with a short introduction, but don't make those portfolios too big. The bigger chance for you to be seen is send your strongest work, the work that works as a body of work, so 3 images or 5 maximum, with a short statement, something like 150 words, no more. And maybe even better, if you want to introduce yourself, send first email, hello, my name is, I would like to introduce myself, would you be interested? If you get a reply, then definitely send your follow-up email. If you don't hear, you can just send this. It don't hurt. Don't expect a reply. We will always, in Wiltshire Creative, we will always reply. Because as an organization, we are absolutely passionate in giving young artists, where possible, leg up into the industry. If you're going into commercial galleries, that might not be the case. But the way I would go about this, if you're going into commercial galleries, look at the sort of artists they exhibit. If you think that your body of work would fit in that context, try to approach that gallery. For example, it's no point sending work for domestic setting to a gallery which only display outdoor sculpture, for example. Yeah, there's like a huge disparity there. But yeah, was that sort of thing, Dave, you thought that I should?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But
I'm just aware that.
yeah,
Oh, sorry, Mark.
there are other opportunities. There are trade fairs, for example. Well, there will be one day when COVID allows. In those fairs, you don't sell your work at, but galleries go and view your work. Um, there are also fairs of various degree of kind uh, of various types of artworks where you can sell directly to public. It really depends where you want to take your work to. And I think when you're starting up, it is good to try out everything you can just to see which sort of way you want to pursue.
Yeah. And just something that I want to pick up on that Merca said was I really can't stress the importance of just getting in contact with people and just asking for a chat. You're just saying, can I come in and can we sit down over a coffee and have a chat? That is really, really important. Just meeting people and introducing yourself and letting them know about you. You're not going to go in for a coffee and they're going to go, this is the best artwork I've ever seen. How about a job? I'm not going to lie, that's probably not going to happen, but you put yourself in their mind, that you have a chat with them, that you introduce yourself to them, and that you make that connection. And honestly, it's happened to me where designers come in, I've sat down, I've had a coffee with them, that's great. And then a year later, I was working on a project and I think, oh, actually, that artist who I spoke to a year ago would be really good for this, and then phoned them up and offered them a job. That's the real benefit of that, just investing your time and meeting as much people as possible. In the arts, it's the human connection that's the really, really important element. You may know the old saying that it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I really don't like that saying, but there's an element of truth to it. That's not saying that that you have to be in a special secret club. It just means that you have to be willing to put yourself out there, to go to events, to meet people, to network, and to stay in contact. I had an email today from an artist who I've worked with before, who was just like, "Hey, how are you? How's it going? Just want to chat again." They just wanted to reintroduce themselves and just to make sure that connection didn't go dry, and great. And then I booked in a Zoom meeting with them. We're going to have a chat later this week, and it might seem like a waste of time, but it's really not. You've got to think about it in terms of investment, really. So I think we've chatted a lot about the application process. I'm also aware that we're chatting a lot about fine arts. If there are any performing arts students amongst you, do identify yourselves, and I will chat a bit more about performance art as well. So
I just wanted to say, can I butt in?
Yeah, of course. We already did, Merca.
As you can see, working in arts is brilliant because you also get a fantastic banter with your work colleagues. But no, keep in contact with your tutors as well, because your tutors at this stage of your life probably knows your practices the most, and ask them to use them as your referees, because that also is a connection. I still am in touch with my lecturers from universities. It is, and that kind of helped me in many ways. After 10 years after I finished my first degree, I did my master's and actually my masters were funded by Arts and Humanities Research Council. But in order to put the application in, I needed a reference in a professional field, and one of my former lecturers wrote a reference for me, and that was 10 years after I finished my degree. So it, those connections, if like Dave described, you have worked really hard and made yourself, seen, you will be remembered by the people who you meet, because that's how art works. We all kind of afflict or affect one another with our thoughts and with our practices, and that is the wonderful thing about being creative.
Absolutely. So we'll just move on now to I guess the interview, the actual, you've applied for a thing and you've got on an interview. Again, if you have any questions, do just put it in the chat. But yeah, I think the most important thing that I look for when I'm speaking to a freelance illustrator or a freelance designer, freelance graphic designer, is I want them to be able to demonstrate that they have strong collaborative skills. It's really great if an artist has a very good vision and a great portfolio of work, but if they can't collaborate, that's really, really problematic to me. You're going to need to be able to demonstrate that you can respond to feedback, that you can respond to briefs, and that you can adjust your work accordingly. Because yes, it is about you as a designer having your vision, but you've also got to understand that your work is going to represent an organization. So you need to be able to respond to what their priorities are, really. And I have worked with amazing designers before who just don't listen to other people on the creative team, and it's really problematic. And you're happy with your vision, but the other artists aren't happy with their vision. You have to understand that in a collaborative process, you're working with other artists and that they have a vision as well, and you need to respect that. So I suppose in your interview technique, it's important to have examples where you've been collaborative and where you've needed to overcome problems. So just really make sure that you have that as an important thing to talk about as well. I think in the interview, as visual as you can be is really, really helpful. As an art person, yeah, that's fine. We'll use that. As an art person, you work in a very visual medium. So do come to the interview, obviously, with your portfolio to help explain that, to just be able to talk about your art in visual terms and for them to be able to see it. It's nice to have that portfolio initially, but when you just send that in an email, you don't have the backstory behind it. So in that interview, you're looking to animate your portfolio and to give a bit more detail to it. So sending in that email with your CV, with your portfolio, that's getting your foot through the door. In the interview, you're looking to elaborate on what you've already sent in, I suppose. And, that's the type of thing that you want to be able to talk about. So for me, it's about showing that you can collaborate, that you can work with others, and showing me that you have a passion as well. If you're applying for a job, I know that it's probably because you want the money, which is fine. That's all right. But I want you to be able to demonstrate a passion. If you do not have that passion, then I don't know that I want to work with you, because how can I know that you're going to put the effort in? How can I know that you're really going to try on this project? I've had a lot of interviews with people, and it could be nerves, it could be something else, but they just appear really uninvested. They're just kind of chatting through stuff, I can't hear a passion. They talk about the work that they've done, but I can't hear passion in their voice, and I can't hear them talk excitedly about the work that they make. And that doesn't inspire confidence in me. I want to be able to hear that passion, because I want to work with someone who will put in 110%, who gets excited about art. You know, if I had a choice between someone in an interview who was screaming and raving and jumping up and down excitedly, and someone who was just slumped in their chair talking in a monotone voice, I'd go for the person who's jumping up and down, I think, seriously, if I had a choice, because I knew that person would be passionate. At least I can work with passion. I can't work with apathy. So, you know, do make sure that you are demonstrating that in your chats. I think as well, just finally, the best piece of advice that was given to me, and this is about actors, but I think it's also true about any artist. Whereas if you want to be an actor, give up now.
I was given the same advice.
But if you need to be an artist, if you need to be an actor, then that's the thing that you need to do. So just really, really, you know, you've got to convey to these people that this is something that you need and that you are passionate about. I would honestly say passion comes first, then experience, and then your portfolio. If that makes sense. Yeah. You know, I think generally speaking. Merker, is there anything you want to add to that?
No, I was just going to say I had very same advice, slightly differently so presented by Potter, Jonathan Garrett, at the point of my life when I was looking for a first workshop. I went to his workshop and he told me, don't do it. And then within about a day, he found me an empty unit where I set up my first workshop. So this is kind of the passion that I think Dave is talking about, you know, and the help within artistic community that you will meet. On one hand, the same person will tell you, oh, don't do it. And then the next day they will find you a place where you can start. Yeah, this sort of thing goes on because I think people respect your drive. People respect you know, your staying power, and you know, and your passion. Yeah, so hang on to that, definitely.
I think as well, there's also another, and I'm sure you've probably all heard this, but working in the arts, it's all about luck, and that's the one thing that is not true at all. It's not about that. It's about hard work. It is about hard work. You're going to have to graft, but what you'll find is if you work hard, that, you know, you're constantly doing stuff, you know, when you're constantly doing it, you'll find yourself where there's a period where you're not working, where you just haven't got the work. And that's where many artists find themselves right now in the COVID-19 pandemic, where they're just not working. And during those times, you need to still be doing stuff. You need to be meeting people. You need to be creating hypothetical designs. You need to be making something that you can put in your portfolio. You need to be getting your work out there. You need to be meeting people. You know, you really need to be, you know, pushing that day in, day out. And what you'll find is it's not about hard work. It's not about luck. It's about hard work, because people reward that. If they recognize that you're working hard, they will reward you for it, and they will respect that. And, you know, so that's the most important thing that you can be doing. And I know we mentioned it before, but get used to rejection, because that happens a lot, and it's not a personal slight. It really isn't. You can be an amazing artist and you can have an amazing portfolio and these amazing works, but if it's not right for one project, or it's not right for one exhibition, then it's just not right. It doesn't fit. And that's not a slight on you. That's just saying that it doesn't fit with this, and you need to deal with that. You know, I have had young artists come back to me angry that I didn't give them a job, or I didn't select them finally. And you know, it's nothing personal. You know, don't take it personally, and you know, always ask for feedback. if you don't get something, if you don't get a role, ask for feedback. Always ask for feedback. If they give it, then great. And then you can just learn about how to improve yourself. So your career is a journey. You're not going to graduate from higher education knowing everything and being great. You're always learning. You're never out of education. So just really have that as an important mindset.
Yeah, can I just say something a little bit more about just a positive story about rejection? So we are planning an exhibition by artists called Malia and Martina, which, everything going well, we can open our art center with this exhibition, after this COVID lockdown. Now, the interesting thing about Malia is that Malia has applied to 2 of our summer opens. And the way that our summer open selection process works, there is a panel of selectors, and I am not part of the selection process. I just kind of coordinate it, and they select the exhibition. Malia has been rejected on both occasions for our summer open, but as a curator for Wiltshire Creative, I have seen her work and I immediately fell in love with it. And sometimes you do not always agree with the selection panel whom you invited. So but having seen Malia's work and Malia having applied, I was then able to start a conversation directly with her in order to present an exhibition and work with her. So, it really, rejection is not always a negative thing, because Malia will now have an exhibition all to herself, and hopefully, that will be a turning point for us and total celebration as well because of the work that she does.
Cool. Lovely. So we've got only a couple of minutes left to go. So I really want to open this up now to questions, that if you do have a question, just put it in the chat and we will answer it. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to pop in both of our emails. And then if you want to meet us, if you want to chat to us on a one-to-one basis, if you want us to go through your portfolio and have a look at that, we'd be more than happy to do that. So if you do want to contact us, then we'll just pop our emails in the chat now and do get in contact. Mirka, do you want to pop yours in?
I'm just doing it now.
Oh, okay. Thank you. You're more than welcome, Alfie. So yeah, just drop us a line and we'll be happy to chat through.
Can't see anything.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, if you do have any questions, now is the time. More than happy to answer. Thank you. Oh. I really hope this has been helpful, guys. But as I said, do just drop us a random email and we'll chat you through stuff. And as we said, like, meeting people is really important. Just having a friendly chat with them is really, really important. Not that we are very important people. We are very humble people, but we'll happily help you as best as we can. So just do feel free to take those emails and to drop us a line as well, and we can chat you through anything that you want. So what we're going to do is we're just going to hang around for the last 5 minutes. If you do have a question, just pop it in the chat and then we'll answer it as best we can. Or if you want to send us an email, please do.
Dave, can you also say that volunteering is one potential pathway into arts?
In the short term, yes.
Yes, as a kind of foot in the door.
Yeah, I would say do volunteer, but have a very clear path out of volunteering. Yes. Understand how volunteering helps you towards getting paid. What you don't want to do is to get stuck in that. Certainly, but I wouldn't volunteer longer than a year. And when you volunteer, make sure you're having meetings with the people you're volunteering with, and then start getting them to chat about becoming a professional.
Yes, that's how I would approach it as well, and or possibly look at organizations who do events or short-term events and see if you can get into the industry through volunteering for, a weekend, for example, that sort of thing.
Oh, so Freya here has done her arts award with us. Amazing. When was that, Freya?
Oh, that was Freya.
Oh.
Hi,
There you
Freya.
go, Burka. Cool. So Freya knows the true horrible realities of working for Wiltshire Creative. Okay. Lovely. Oh, well, Freya, I don't know where you are with your gold, but if you do want to get in contact with us, we can get on that and get that sorted for you. So you have my email. I don't really have much to do with Arts Award, but I can put you in contact with the right person. And if it is a case of putting together a project, then we can see about what we can do. But we may have to wait until after June, unfortunately, for that one, just because of the way the global pandemic is shaping up. Yeah, unfortunately Abby has, so just drop me an email.
Oh, thank you.
Good, lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kerry. Yeah, so I guess what we'll do is we'll just wrap things up now. I don't know if we just have to wait till everyone leaves, but we'll stay here until 11, and then or we can just end the meeting.
I just wanted to say, do keep an eye on our website for opportunities.
Yeah.
Yes, because any kind of open call opportunities will be listed on our website. And similar organization to ours will do the same. So yeah, keep an eye on those.
Yeah, Kerry, what I will do is I'll probably just drop you an email with our emails on it as well. And if you want to just forward those out to the students, then do go ahead. I'm more than happy to do that.
And the next opportunity will be for our summer open. So do keep an eye on that.
Yes, do come and visit us when you can. I have just seen that, Alfie. Very proactive. Thank you very much, man. Great, lovely. What I will do, Alfie, is Mirka is an exceptionally keen eye for portfolios and visual art, so I'll make sure that she has a look at that as well.
Oh, thank you, Chloe.
Lovely. No, thanks everyone. See you later. Have a good time.
Thank you. Been really lovely talking to everybody.
Really lovely. Weird. I can say something and then words come back.
It will be really nice to actually meet you in person.
Yeah. Lovely. Shall I see you on Teams just after this, Mirka? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Lovely. Great. That's everyone. So I'm just going to stop recording.